This July, we have the Collector's Bounty event that begins on the 1st of July for Americans and the 2nd of July for European realms. This buff is going to be a month-wide buff ending at the end of the month and will have increased drops for dungeons and raids for transmog items as well as mounts. Now, this is only for dungeons and instances from before the Dragonflight expansion. So everything up until Shadowlands is boosted. I'm now going to show you the mounts and the locations you can get them from. So let's start off with Classic. Here we have the Onyxian Drake, which can be found in Duskwallow Marsh in Onyxia's Lair. I recommend taking the Caverns of Time portal to Tanaris. And then quite simply, you're going to fly north and make your way to Dustwallow Marsh over here. And if you see here, the location we're going to is located right there. This is what the outside of the instance looks like, and go inside and defeat Onyxia to potentially get the mount. Moving on to the Burning Crusade, we have the Fiery Warhorse, which can be found in Karazhan, which drops from pretty much the first boss you'll encounter, Atumen the Huntsman. The quickest way to get there is to use your Dalaran Hearthstone to Legion Dalaran. You'll then make your way to the center of the Chamber of the Guardian, right over here, through this little portal. Make your way down the stairs, and you should see immediately on your right-hand side, we have a portal to Karazhan, so you can take that straight here. And this will bring you to the instance, which is located in the Deadwind Pass in Eastern Kingdom. So right over here, you're going to be looking to fight this boss over here, the Atumen the Huntsman. The next mount is the Ashes of Allah, which is a really cool mount from the Eye in the Tempest Keep, which drops from the last boss in the raid. Now, this raid is found in Netherstorm in Outland, and the quickest way to get there is to either take a portal to Shattrath, or alternatively going to the Blasted Lands in the lower of the Eastern Kingdoms and going through the Dark Portal. You'll then make your way to the Netherstorm on the northern side of Outland and all the way to the Tempest Keep located over here. This is the instance called the Eye. Kill the last boss in there for a chance to get this mount. The next mount being the Raven Lord. This one is going to be from a dungeon still within Outland. This one's going to take place in the Tarokar Forest over here. So if we go inside here, you'll find the Sethek Halls dungeon right at this location. Quite simply, you'll fly into this big arena and you'll head to the dungeon over there. You'll then have to defeat the second boss, Anzu, to get the reins of the Raven Lord. Now, you should note that this dungeon has to be in heroic difficulty. So on your character panel, right-click, go to dungeon difficulty, and make sure it is set to heroic. Otherwise, the mount is not going to even drop at all. The next mount is also from a dungeon. This is the Swift White Hawkstrider, and it's going to be found in the Magistr's Terrace dungeon. The quickest way to get there is to make your way to Outland, and at Shattrath City, you will see there is a portal that's going to be located on this side of the city here, on the lower section of the city. You'll see there's a portal here that says Shattrath Portal to the Eye of Quail Danas. So you'll go ahead and take this, and you'll see when you open up your map, the dungeon is located right over here. This drops from the last boss in the dungeon, Kael'thas Sunstrider, the same one from the raid. And your dungeon difficulty will need to be set to heroic for this to be able to drop. We'll now look at mounts from the Wrath of the Lich King. The first raid we're going to look at has both the Blue Drake over here, as well as the Azure Drake like this one. So pretty much the same boss has the chance of dropping either of these mounts. Now we'll need to make our way to the Northrend Island. So to do this, go to your portal room, go to Dalaran in Crystal Song Forest. This will take you to Northrend. You'll then be making your way to the Burian Tundra on the left-hand side of the map, to the Nexus, where you'll see the Eye of Eternity raid is located. This is what it looks like from the outside. And you'll note that the portal is on the upper end over here and not the one at the bottom. Inside this raid, you'll fight Maligot, who has a chance to drop either of these mounts. You should know that the difficulty for this does not matter whether you do it in 10-man or 25-man. The next mount is the elusive Invincible that many people, myself included, have been trying to get for years. This one drops from the Icecrown Citadel from the Lich King himself. Also found within Northrend over here in Icecrown, you'll find the Icecrown Citadel raid located right over here. This is what the entrance looks like from the outside. You'll go through the doors over here. You should note that this mount will only drop when you are on the heroic raid difficulty for 25 players. You have to have these two settings on for the mount to even be able to drop. And then you pretty much kill the Lich King, the last boss in the raid, who you will see has the chance to drop this mount. The next mount is Mimiron's head. This one right over here, the helicopter using, well, Mimiron's actual head, I guess. This one is found in the Ulduar raid for defeating the last boss. Located in Northrend, in the Storm Peaks at the very northern end of the island over here, you'll see Ulduar's raid is located right here. Now there are some specifics to how you get this mount. First off, you will have to be in 25-man difficulty for the raid. The raid itself doesn't have a normal or heroic counter. Now you should know throughout this raid there are certain keepers that you get the option to talking to who can help you with Yogg-Saron, the final boss in the raid. The second thing you need to know is that any of the keepers that you kill within the raid, you must not talk to them and allow them to assist you with the fight, because if they assist you, the mount will not drop from Yogg-Saron. So you'll have to do this on 25 men with no assistance from any of the keepers. So don't talk to any of the bosses or any of the observers that you get the option to. Other than that, you just have to defeat Yogg-Saron and get a chance for the mount. The next mount is also within Northrend. This is the blue Proto-Drake. This one drops from the dungeon Utgarda Pinnacle. This is located all the way in the Howling Fjord over here, right in the middle at Utgarda Keep at this pinnacle location right here. This is what the entrance looks like from the outside. So you're going to make your way here, and you will need to do the dungeon difficulty in Heroic, and you'll defeat the third boss within the dungeon for a chance to get the Reins of the Blue Proto-Drake. I would then recommend taking the boat to Menthil Harbor right over here to leave, because it will bring you over here in the Eastern Kingdoms where we need to go to our next location within the Eastern Plaguelands. The next mount is the Rivendare's Deathcharger, which can be found in Stratholm, but it's going to be using the service entrance to the dungeon. This is located over here in the Eastern Plaguelands of the northern side of Eastern Kingdoms. And inside here, you see Stratholm is over here. You actually need to take the entrance to this one over here, the Eastern Wall Gate. This one is the entrance to the right dungeon. This will take you to a different dungeon if you go there. So make your way to this location here, and you should see this is what the outside looks like. And when you get close enough, you can interact with the grid, the service entrance, and you can run into the dungeon. You'll then have to work your way up until the last boss, Lord Aureus Rivendare, who has a chance to drop the Deathcharger's reins. We'll now move on to the mounts that were added in Cataclysm. And for this, we'll be making use of the new portals for Cataclysm that were added. So in Stormwind, you're going to go to this area over here where you have portals to several of the locations we're going to be going to during this. In Orgrimmar, you're instead going to go to this location over here where you have the same portals to use. Let's start with the two mounts from Firelands. We have the Pureblood Firehawk, really beautiful mount. I'm really hoping I can get my hands on this finally. This drops from the final boss within the Firelands. In the Firelands, you're also going to be able to get the Flametalon of Alysrazor from the boss of the same name, Alysrazor, in the Firelands. Now, to make your way to this raid, you're going to use the portal to Hyjal. This will take you to Kalimdor, more specifically Mount Hyjal, where you see inside this location, we can make our way to the Firelands on the southern end. And this is where the instance is located. Now, you should know that the mount drops on both heroic and normal difficulty, whether it's 10 man or 25 man. So theoretically, you could actually farm this mount twice in 1 week, since the mount is able to drop from either of those difficulties. Inside the instance, you'll make your way to Alysrazor over here to defeat her for the chance for the Flametalon of Alysrazor mount. And then you'll pretty much have to defeat all of the other bosses in order to unlock access to the Sulfurian Keep, where you can find Ragnaros, who you can defeat for a chance to get the Pureblood Firehawk. When you're done, you can make your way back to Nordrassil at the northern side of Mount Hyjal, where you can find a portal to Orgrimmar or to Stormwind to get back quickly. For the next mount, we're going to make our way to a raid called the Throne of the Four Winds, located in Uldum. This will get us the Drake of the South Wind, which is pretty cool looking. Now, from that portal area that I showed you earlier, you'll find the portal to Uldum. So take this. This will take you to Uldum over here, and you'll see at the bottom left, we have the Throne of the Four Winds. The raid is located here. This location is high up in the sky, so you will have to fly quite a distance up. And much like the ones with Firelands, this mount will drop from the last boss in this little mini raid on both normal and heroic difficulties, whether it's 10 man or 25 man. So you can do it on normal to try, and then you can do it again on heroic to try as well. So make sure you try this in both difficulties to increase your odds of getting 2 chances per character per week. Also located in Uldum is the Drake of the North Wind. Pretty cool mount as well. This one instead drops from a dungeon in the location. This dungeon is going to be the Vortex Pinnacle. Still well in Uldum over here, you'll find the Vortex Pinnacle over on the right side. So here, in this location. This one, as you can see, is also floating in the sky. Now this is going to be the Vortex Pinnacle dungeon, where you'll have to defeat the second boss, Altarius, who has a chance to drop the mount, either on normal or heroic difficulties. So you could farm it as a dungeon in heroic as many times as you want, and hopefully get the mount. From Uldum, we're going to fly over here into Tanaris to the Caverns of Time. The next 3 mounts are from the same raid, the Dragon Soul raid. The first mount here is Experiment 12B, and this is what it looks like. We then have the Blazing Drake that looks like this, that is also from the Dragon Soul raid. And the Lifebinder's Handmaiden from the Dragon Soul raid. However, this one is only available in the heroic difficulty, whereas the first 2 are available in normal and heroic. To access these, you're going to go to the Caverns of Time, either by taking the portal or flying there from Uldum, where we were previously. And instead of flying outside the Caverns of Time, you're actually going to fly inside, further down. This will bring you to the main chamber over here. And you should note, when you open up your map, you have a bunch of shit going on. The Dragon Soul raid is located over here, though. You're going for this one. So use your map and navigate to the location like this. Now, in order to get the Experiment 12B mount, you will have to defeat the Altraxion boss within the raid in either normal difficulty, you'll see it drops, or heroic difficulty, it also drops. Doesn't matter if it's 10-man or 25-man. For the Blazing Drake, you will have to defeat Madness of Deathwing, which is the final boss within the raid, and on normal difficulty, only the Reigns of the Blazing Drake is possible to drop. It does also drop on heroic difficulty, so you'll be able to do it on normal and then heroic to get 2 chances. And like I said, with the Lifebinder's Handmaiden mount, you will have to defeat the Madness of Deathwing in heroic difficulty, either 10-man or 25-man. You will see it has the chance to drop here alongside the Blazing Drake. You can then make your way back to the entrance of the Cavern of Time and take your portal to your respective city. The next mount is from a dungeon. This is the Vitreous Stone Drake. It's found from the dungeon The Stone Core, which is found in Deepholm. So you're going to make your way to that portal area that I showed you earlier on with Cataclysm, and you're going to take the portal to Deepholm. You'll fly outside the main area over here and then fly upwards. And you should find the dungeon is on the outskirts, on the outside of the tower, located over here. So pretty much make your way up here. Now this mount drops from the second boss in the dungeon called Slabhide on both normal and heroic difficulty. I recommend doing heroic and just spamming it and hopefully, getting it to drop from the second boss. When you're done here, you can fly back into the tower and go left for the Stormwind portal over here or right for the Orgrimmar portal in order to leave. The next 2 mounts are from the same dungeon, Zul'Gurub. This one is the Armored Razzashi Raptor. It looks like this. It's found over down in Stranglethorn Vale. The other mount from the dungeon is the Swift Zulian Panther that looks like this. This one right over here. You'll need to make your way to the Eastern Kingdoms for this one, to Stranglethorn Vale. So if you're Alliance, just go from Stormwind and fly down to the Stranglethorn Vale. You'll find the instance we need to go to is located right over here in the jungle area. So make your way to this location. If you play as Horde, starting from Kalimdor, you can actually make your way to the Northern Barrens. And in the Northern Barrens, there is a boat that leaves from this location over here that travels directly to Booty Bay in Stranglethorn Vale. This will deliver you right over here, where you'll just have to fly to the northeast to make your way to the dungeon. Inside this dungeon, the second boss, Bloodlord Mandoker, will drop the Armored Razzashi Raptor on both normal or heroic difficulties. And the High Priestess Kilnara will drop the Swift Zulian Panther on both normal and heroic difficulties as well. So good luck with both of those. Moving on to the mounts from Mist of Pandaria. A lot of you probably already got this from the Mist of Pandaria remix version of the game, which basically made you get these mounts pretty much for free. But if you don't have them, here's how you get them. The first mount we're going to talk about is the Astral Cloud Serpent. This one right over here. Really cool looking mount. This drops from the Mogu'shan Palace raid from the Elegon boss. But first we're going to make our way to the portal room to the Jade Forest so that we can make our way to the Mists of Pandaria. You'll find this raid in the Kunlai Summit region at the very north, located right over here. This is where you can find the Mogu'shan Vaults. This is what the outside looks like, and the entrance is right over there. This mount drops from the second lost boss, Elegon, both in normal difficulty as well as heroic difficulty. So you can try your luck doing it on normal as well as heroic until you can get the mount. The next mount is the Kor'kron Juggernaut, which drops from Garrosh Hellscream in the Siege of Orgrimmar raid. This is a pretty cool scorpion looking mount. And for this one, you'll make your way to the Vale of Eternal Blossoms and you'll find the raid instance Siege of Orgrimmar right over here. The entrance to the raid looks like this and you pretty much fly into it like so. Now this mount only drops from the final boss Garrosh Hellscream and only in Mythic difficulty. So you have to do this in Mythic. So set your raid difficulty all the way over onto Mythic so that you're even able to attain the mount in the first place. Don't bother with a normal or heroic. The next two mounts are from the Throne of Thunder raid. The first mount is the Spawn of Horidon, this one right over here that looks like a Triceratops. And then we also have the Clutch of Jikun, which is this flying mount right over here, also from the Throne of Thunder. Now you'll need to make your way to the Isle of Thunder, which is not quite so simple. You instead have to go to the Town Long Steps over here. Make your way to this location roughly in the middle, just before this bridge. You'll find some camps over here, and if you've done this Isle of Thunder with this character before, there should be a portal for you. If not, you'll most likely find an NPC, like in my case, there's Verisa Windrunner over here, who has a quest that will unlock the access to the Isle of Thunder. In this quest, they'll take you to the Isle of Thunder to be discovered and put a portal in that location instead so that you can come to and from. Now this island does not have flying enabled, so you will have to make your way across all the way to the top over here to the Throne of Thunder raid instance located up here. Now when you defeat the second boss, Horidon, you'll have the chance to get the Spawn of Horidon in both normal and heroic difficulty. And if you go ahead and you defeat the boss called Jikun, you will get a chance of getting Clutch of Jikun both in either heroic or normal difficulty. So defeat those two bosses and hopefully you get them. We'll now move on to mounts from Warlords of Draenor. The first mount we'll talk about is the Felsteel Annihilator. It looks really cool. I'm not gonna lie, this is a really cool one that I want to get my hands on. Now this drops from the Hellfire Citadel from the last boss on only Mythic difficulty. Now there's two ways to get to this location. You can either take the portal to Ashran. Alternatively, if you have a Garrison Hearthstone within your toy box, you can take this too. This will bring you over to the Warlords of Draenor. You'll then make your way to Tanan Jungle over here, and you'll see that the Hellfire Citadel instance is located in the middle. And this is what it looks like from above, so as you get to the bridge, you'll see that the portal is right here. Now you'll have to go through this entire raid to Archimond, and you will have to defeat him on Mythic difficulty in order to get the Felsteel Annihilator, as this does not drop on heroic or normal difficulties. The next mount is the Ironhoof Destroyer, which can be found in the Black Rock Foundry only on Mythic difficulty for defeating Blackhand. This is what it looks like. Now this is located to the north here in Gorgrond. So in Gorgrond, at this location, Black Rock Foundry is right at the top. This is what it looks like from the outside. You can already see where you can enter. Now you will have to go through this entire raid to the final boss, Blackhand, and defeat him in Mythic difficulty in order to get a chance of getting the mount. And you should note that this does not drop on heroic or normal difficulty. It has to be Mythic only. So make sure you set your difficulty to Mythic before you run this. And now we'll go ahead and look at the mounts from Legion. The next two mounts can be found from the Nighthold raid. This first one is the Fellblaze Infernal that looks like this. This one's gained by doing normal and heroic versions of the raid. However, if you do the raid in Mythic difficulty, you have the chance of getting the Hellfire Infernal that looks like this. It's instead just a raid recolor. However, if you defeat Gul'dan in Mythic difficulty of Nighthold, you will get the Hellfire Infernal that looks like this. Now to make your way to the Broken Isles, there are two methods. First, you can take the portal in your portal room to Azuna, or you can use your Dalaran Hearthstone that will take you to the Legion version of Dalaran. Now you can find the Nighthold raid in Suramar in the middle of this island. So go here. You should find the Nighthold raid is marked at this location, but it won't specifically be at this location because it's underground. There's a little bit of exploring you got to do. And I'm going to make it simple for you. If you've never been here before, pretty much you're going to go in front of this building right here at this location. So make your way to this spot. So you're going to go down like this. You should see there's a giant fountain over here in front of it. There is a doorway. This is what it looks like from the outside. On my map again, it looks like this at this location. You can then go inside here and you're pretty much going to follow the pathway that it takes you. So go along with me here. I'll run you through it. We're going to go like this. You're not going to go up. You're instead going to go down. You'll see here there's stairs going down. You're going to follow this downwards like this and then just keep going along this pathway over here. This will take you down some stairs. There's a meeting stone over here. When you go through here, you'll immediately go to the right, down these stairs like this, and you should find that along this pathway all the way down to the bottom here is pretty much going to take you to the Nighthold portal entrance. And that's how you can get into the Nighthold. Now you will have to defeat the final boss in the raid, Gul'dan, who will drop the Living Infernal Core, both on normal and heroic difficulty. This gives you the Fellblaze Infernal Mount. Alternatively, if you beat Gul'dan on Mythic difficulty, you get the Fiendish Hellfire Core as well as the Living Infernal Core. You can get either of them. And that will instead be the Hellfire Infernal Mount that you will get. The next mount is the Abyss Worm that drops from the Tomb of Sargeras. And this is what the mount looks like. Now the Tomb of Sargeras raid can be found in the Broken Shore. So right over here, you should find it at this location right here. This is what it looks like from the outside. You really can't miss it. This mount drops from Mistress Sazini, which is right over here on both normal, heroic, and mythic difficulties. So you can try it on multiple difficulties until you eventually get it. The next two mounts come from Antares, the Burning Throne raid. This is the first one, Antarin Charhound. That looks like this. Pretty cool looking mount. And then the next one is the Shackled Urzul, also found within the same raid. But this one is only available in the mythic difficulty. But first, you're going to have to make your way to Argus, this location over here. Now, in the Dalaran here within the Broken Isles at this location, you'll see if I open up my map, at the landing pad over here, there should be this icon, this Argus Lightforge Beacon to the Vindicar, because that's how you're going to get to this location. If you don't have this unlocked, you might have to follow a quest line. Hopefully there's an NPC nearby here that helps you start with that. But interact with this and it will transport you across. You'll then make your way through here all the way to the front over there where the main console is. And you'll interact with this navigation console over here where you get to select where you want to go. We're going to the leftmost side, Hope's Landing, Antorin Wastes. This is where the raid will be. And if you open up your map at this point, you should see that the raid is located right over here. And you can see in the distance there, this is what the entrance to the raid looks like. Man, this place is like Shadowlands before Shadowlands happened. In order to get the Antarin Charhound, you'll fight the second boss, Fellhounds of Sargeras. You can see it drops from there on normal, heroic, and mythic difficulties. So you can grind it in many ways. But if you want the Shackled Urzul, you'll need to defeat Argus, the Unmaker, in mythic difficulty, because that's where he drops the mount. He doesn't drop it on heroic or normal. Only on Mythic can you get this one. The next two mounts are found in a dungeon, the Return to Karazhan dungeon. This is the Smoldering Ember Worm. Really cool looking mount, actually. And alternatively, you can also get Midnight from the Return to Karazhan, which is this horse mount right over here. Pretty cool mount too. Now you will have to go to the Eastern Kingdoms for this one, to the Deadwind Pass, like you were at previously in this video for Karazhan. Now the main entrance of Karazhan is over there. Where we need to go is on this bridge up here. So if you're looking at the entrance down there, you're flying up to this little mini bridge covered in the fell, located over here on the map. This is exactly in this location. So find your way to this bridge and you're going to go through here to get into the dungeon. Now this dungeon is a little complex, and the moment you enter it, there is a timer that begins. You are going to be doing this on Mythic difficulty. To get Midnight, you'll progress until you find Attunement the Huntsman, and you will kill Midnight, the horse boss, to hopefully get the mount. But if you want the Smoldering Ember Worm, you do have to do a little bit of an Easter egg hunt where you have to find 5 crystals, and then you have a 5-minute timer to get to a specific location. I recommend checking out a proper, full guide for how to do just this, because it's going to take up too much of this video to do so. Essentially, you're going to fight a secret boss who drops this mount. Well, hopefully at least. We're now going to look at mounts for Battle for Azeroth. The two mounts I'm about to show you come from Battle of Dazar'alor, which is a raid from Battle for Azeroth. The first one is G.M.O.D, Gmod. Every time I want to say it's Gary's mod, bro. I think his name was Gary Wicks or something. Anyway, this is a pretty cool looking mount. I've actually been trying to get this for some time myself. Also from the Battle of Dazar'alor raid is the Glacial Tidestorm. This mount over here, really cool looking. I've also been wanting this one for ages too. First, you'll need to make your way to Zandalar. If you're Horde, this is quite simple. If you're Alliance, you're going to take your portal to Borealis. Horde's portal will be to Zandalar directly. If you're Alliance, you actually have a portal to this raid in Borealis itself, so located right over here, Battle of Dazar'alor. located right in your central city. Really nice to actually get to. Alternatively, if you're a Horde player, in Zulian over here, you'll find the portal to the Battle of Dazar'alor is actually located over here to the north at this location. So this is not marked as default for me, but whether you're Alliance or Horde, you can use either of these two locations. The Gmod mount drops from High Tinkerer Mechatork. This is towards the end of the raid. It's the third last boss that you fight. And supposedly he's able to drop this mount whether it's on normal, heroic, or mythic difficulty. However, the Glacial Tidestorm mount over here will only drop from Lady Jaina Proudmoore, the final boss in the raid, on mythic difficulty. As you can see over here, it does not drop on heroic or normal, only on mythic difficulty. The next mount is the Ny'alotha Allseer. Now, this one is from the Ny'alotha the Waking City raid, only in mythic difficulty. If you've never done this raid, it's a bit of a mission to actually unlock access to it. And I myself had to go through a whole quest line from Magni Bronzebeard over here, located in Kalimdor Silithis over here. So I've linked a Wowhead link in the description down below if you cannot find access to what I'm about to show you. It will guide you through the whole quest line that you need to follow to get here. Now, the Ny'alotha raid actually moves every single week, depending on where the N'Zoth assaults are located. One of these locations is in Uldum, in Kalimdor, located over here. You can see this is what your map should look like. If your map does not look like this, you most likely need to do the quest line to unlock the N'Zoth assaults. The next location that you can find this assault, if you don't see the raid active here, is actually located in Pandaria. In Pandaria, at the Vale of the Eternal Blossoms, right over here in the middle, you will see that the raid for me is located in this location. You can see it's got the little green portal thing. Ny'alotha, the Waking City, can be found at this location. This is what you're looking for where the raid instance is located. You cannot miss it when you're flying in one of these two areas. It's quite literally, you know, a giant portal thing. Now, you will have to defeat the final boss in the raid, N'Zoth himself, in mythic difficulty in order to get the flying Ny'alotha Allseer mount. The next mount I'm going to show you is called the Tomb Stalker. This is located from a dungeon, King's Rest in Zulian. This is what it looks like. It looks pretty damn cool, actually. I like it. You'll need to make your way to Zandalar, and then inside Zandalar to the Zulian region. And over here, you'll see a King's Rest dungeon is located to the left-hand side over this spot. This is what the entrance looks like, and this mount only drops in mythic difficulty from Dazar the First King. The next mount is the Underrot Crawg, which looks like this pretty cool looking nifty thing. This is from the Underrot dungeon in mythic difficulty, also located on Zandalar over here in Nazmir region. So in Nazmir, you'll see next to the Uldir raid, the Underrot dungeon is located. So over here, if you can't find it, you'll see this big thing. It's not on the surface level here. You actually have to go a little bit south through this like cave system thing. And you'll see underneath, this is where the portal is located. So you pretty much like fly like that. And like I said, this mount only drops in mythic difficulty after you defeat the final boss in the dungeon, the Unbound Abomination, as you can see over here. The next mount is from the Freehold dungeon, also in mythic difficulty. This is Sharkbait. This is what it looks like. It's pretty much a flying parrot looking thing with a peg leg. This one can be found on Kultiris in the Tiragard Sound region at the bottom right-hand side of the map. You'll find it in Freehold, which is located over here at the bottom right at that location. This is what it looks like from the overworld. Very easy to find. And this mount drops from the final boss, Harlan Sweet, in 5-man mythic difficulty. Now, I'm not sure if these next two are attainable, but they technically are in the game. It's kind of weird as how it works because it's in the current season pool of mounts. And this is the Mechagon Peacekeeper that looks like this, that is found in Operation Mechagon, the dungeon in mythic difficulty. The same goes for the aerial unit R21/X right over here. Can also be found in that same dungeon. However, if you look at the dungeon on the, the adventure guide, it actually doesn't list these mounts being droppable at all, even though the journal says that it drops from King Mechagon, which is a bit of a weird one. So I'm not sure where the stance is on that. But you'll be able to find this Operation Mechagon in Kultiris over here at the top left of the map at Mechagon Island. So at Mechagon Island, here is where the dungeon is located. You probably already know this because you've had this dungeon in the season pool for, a couple times already. We'll now make our way to the final expansion before Dragonflight, this being Shadowlands, where the game died. I mean, you know, figuratively speaking, sort of. Now, in your portal room for your faction, make your way to the Oribos portal to go to the Shadowlands. The two mounts I'm about to show you come from the raid called Sanctum of Domination. This is the Sanctum Gloom Charger. It looks like this, doesn't really have any feet. It's got like ghost feet. And then there's the Vengeance Flying Mount over here that is also from the Sanctum of Domination, but only in Mythic difficulty can you get this. Pretty cool looking thing though. Now from Oribos over here, the way you get to the raid is actually going to be in the mall over here at the top left of the map. You can see here the raid is located at the top of this zone. In case you're like me and you really didn't play Shadowlands, you're going to make your way to the big center thing of Oribos over here. You're going to take this Ring of Transference. And then from here, you're just going to jump into the giant laser beam in the middle kind of thing. And this is how you arrive in the mall. This should put you at this location, and you just quite simply have to make your way to the raid instance. This is what the raid instance looks like once you finally get here. In order to get the Sanctum Gloom Charger, you'll have to defeat the third boss, the 9, either in normal, heroic, or mythic difficulty. It drops on all 3 difficulties. In order to get the Vengeance Mount over here, you will have to defeat the final boss in the raid, Sylvanas Windrunner, in Mythic difficulty. She doesn't drop this on normal or heroic, so only Mythic. The next mount is Zereth Overseer from Sepulture or Sepulture Spatula of the first ones in Mythic difficulty. This raid is a little bit inconvenient to get to because you have to do a quest line to access the area where the raid is located. And within the Shadowlands over here at the Oribos, we have to go to this location called Zereth Mortis at the bottom right here. And the way to do so is to make your way into the Enclave at this location over here, and you'll pretty much get a quest from the guy across the table. He will then prompt you and, you know, allow you to go to Zereth Mortis. You actually speak to him when you want to go there, and he'll take you there. That's how you get there, as far as I know. It's a pretty cool looking place, I'm not gonna lie. I really like the design of the area, but I'm not kidding when I said that it's hard to unlock this location. Now inside the Zereth Mortis zone, you'll see the raid is located pretty much on the far right-hand side, just behind the big disco ball in the middle. You can quite simply fly across the gap. Now this mount over here only drops from the final boss, the Jailer himself, and only in Mythic difficulty. Does not drop a normal or heroic, only on Mythic. What I gotta say though is that you can find some of the best transmogs inside of this raid. The next mount is from a dungeon called the Necrotic Wake. This one right over here called Marrowfang. Marrowfang is only attainable in Mythic version of the dungeon. And to access it, you're gonna go to the Ring of Fates in the Sanctuary in Oribos, use the Ring of Transference. This will take you upstairs where you can find the Flight Master up here. This will give you access to flying to Bastion, provided you've been here before, because the dungeon location we're going to is right over here in the middle of Bastion. And this is what the dungeon entrance looks like from the outside, pretty easy to find once you get here. Now, like I said, you have to do this on Mythic difficulty, and it will be the final boss, Ny'alotha the Rhymebinder, who has a chance to drop Marrowfang's reins to drop Marrowfang the mount itself. The next mount is this Slime Serpent that you can find from a dungeon called Plaguefall. You'll be able to find this one in the Maldraxxus region over here from the dungeon Plaguefall located right over here at the lower right-hand side. Now this mount requires you to have a special interaction within the dungeon, so I'll let you guys Google that and figure out how to get the Slime Serpent if you are looking for this mount, but that's where you're gonna get it. The final mount in this video is the Cartel Master's Gear Glider that you can find from a secret dungeon called Tavesh the Veiled Market. This is what the mount looks like, pretty cool. Now the dungeon itself you'll access from a Flight Master, and it kind of exists down here if you've been there before. If you've never been there before, you're gonna go to Oribos, and on the first floor, you're gonna go to this section here where my cursor is. You'll see there's this NPC over here you can speak to, Host Zarella, who has a quest called the Alley Cat of Oribos, which you will do this whole quest chain. After traveling the Shadowlands for about like 10 minutes, you know, doing very odd quests, you'll come back over here to the NPC and he'll take you to Tazavesh. And this will take you to the location off in the middle of somewhere here. Pretty kind of cool though, like I didn't know that this existed. And this will bring you to the dungeon entrance where you can see their meeting stone is located and you can begin this dungeon. Now you'll have to go through all the bosses in this dungeon, defeating the last one, Solea, who has the chance to drop this Cartel Master's Gear Glider mount. I hope that I've included everything. If you feel like I've missed something, let me know in the comments down below, and thank you so much for watching. Good luck and happy hunting.